The reason I write poetry is that I'm constantly sort of at war with myself, is that I've got a voice inside of me that keeps telling me to shut up, that I'm boring, no one wants to hear what I have to say, and I sort of write to fight that voice and get something out into the world. I wrote this first poem about 30 years ago, and I still find myself reading parts of it to myself every now and then. I envy every man I see, and have often mistaken that envy for love. I grew up under my parents' worried gaze and knew that somehow I betrayed the difference I felt. So I grew adept at watching other men, copying their walk, their talk, their speech, their hair. And always watching those who seemed happy, seemed to enjoy being who they were. For try as I might, that was the one thing I could never quite get. Though thousands of faces I've scanned, on thousands of sunny days and thousands of commercials for beer, my joy is the most fragile of my masks. I missed an appointment this morning. I was lazy and stayed in bed and didn't relax but cursed myself for long hours afterward. I came on too strong to someone last week. Last night I made a promise I cannot keep. I can go on and on for hours, dredging up mistakes no therapist or confessor would have the patience to hear. I look at myself in the bathroom mirror and wonder why this face is one of the few I've never learned to love. Big ears and thinning hair never discouraged me before. Those eyes are a pretty color, but so solemn. Were they another's, I think I would find it a challenge to bring laughter to them. I'd like to run my hand through the hair on that chest, tickle the nipples, squeeze the cock, and massage that too tight neck. I'd like to cradle that head in my lap and stroke the brow and tell that person I've always liked him, the timid and bright little boy, the cautious and well-meaning man. I've seen you be kind when you could have been cruel. I've seen you be brave when no one else would have known. I've watched you rejoice when reality matched your dreams. And I've watched you survive when events made nightmares of those dreams. I will love others again. It's who I am. It comes more naturally than breathing. But I will allow myself this moment to discover some love for myself. When you don't really know what you're doing, probably the easiest way is to find other people who look like they know what they're doing and do it along with them. So that's been the way I've gone through much of my life. And what I've taken out of a lot of that has been the connections I've made with people along the way, which wasn't necessarily the reason why I started doing the thing or why I got out of it, but this is a poem about this erratic life's journey. I wore bell-bottom jeans with patches on the knees, embroidered shirts, long hair and beard. We championed love instead of war, cooperation replaced competition. We exulted in freedom and joy, creativity and possibility. With all the arrogance of youth, we thought there had never been anyone like us. Time would relieve us of some illusion, but our legacy was not as meager as some would have you believe. There are those who still devote their lives to their ideals. We've maintained our support and respect for women, minorities, and the planet. Our music turns up in the strangest places. The colors refuse to fade from our lines. I wore t-shirts with political slogans, hiking boots, and well-worn jeans. Blaming former failures on our lack of responsibility, we combined spiritual practice with social service. We took on teachers, practiced devotion, taught in a vegetarian preschool, studied meditation and Buddhism. We, in a 200-year-old country, looked in awe at ages-long traditions. We didn't know that adoration would be no better than unreasoning contempt, the same refusal to treat as equal. Drunk on power, gurus behaved badly. If we were lucky, we held the teachings, as we turned our backs on those who taught us. I dressed in tie-dyed shirts handmade by friends, cotton pants and sandals when not barefoot. We followed the band from town to city, dancing in fields and auditoriums. We shared everything, food, motel rooms, clothes. We danced with ecstasy in the magic of the music, finding affirmation in the movements of the other dancers. A new attendee once became concerned that his connection was all in his mind. As I assured him we did welcome him, this band was indeed like all others, he looked and saw caring smiles all around. For a while we had a glimpse of heaven. Then Jerry died and we let the four winds call us safely to our various homes. I wore loose, muted-colored cotton clothes in a class studying astrology, making the slow turn to practitioner from the skeptic I had been years before. Investigating the stars, we learned to see each other as perfectly distinct, necessary threads of experience in the bright tapestry of our lives. Tarot came next as I saw events embodying the same patterns as people. I joined in the worship of a goddess, seeing majesty everywhere I looked, in the night sky, and in the woods and streams, in the cycle of the seasons, and in the people responding to those rhythms, all dancers to the music of the spheres. I dressed more carefully in tighter clothes. Recognizing the beauty of others, I began to reclaim parts of myself. There was an obscure theme in my stories that I had tried to ignore. I love men, and while that would distance me from some, it allowed me to meet other people who shared my history and my passions. I came to see that the barriers that had kept me apart could become bridges that allowed me to approach other men. As I faced my fear, I became more real. Telling the stories I had feared to share not only freed me to find my voice, but in a totally unexpected turn, gave others permission to speak their truths. I wore overalls and thrift store treasures. It wasn't until the 1990s I invested in a Volkswagen van and joined a commune long after the norm. I often cooked and constantly laughed there. I left when people turned on each other and realized, not for the first time, that shared ideals are not the same as shared values. Those with a vision of a better world sometimes have no love for the one they have, while my aim is to take the best of what I have: affection married to reason, a respect for all the people I know, an appreciation for the beauty and interconnectedness of all life, and if I can, encourage it to grow. I live with my partner now and 2 dogs. His children are grown and live far from here. We don't see our friends for weeks at a time. We care for them, but we are separate. I only grow close to those I know well. I have greater faith in my own judgment. I am no longer just a hippie, queer, deadhead mystic who lives on a commune. But there are so many things I do miss. The looks of recognition from strangers who saw me as an ally, the in-jokes, the laughter, the music and the dancing, men and women with audacious dreams and shining eyes and many color fabrics, the smiles and the heartfelt words, welcome home, the feeling of never being alone. As you might have picked up from the last poem, one of the hardest identities for me to adopt was that of a gay man. I was afraid that people who saw me as sharing their worldview would now see me as different than them. I was reluctant to be viewed as less than a man. But I came to see these excuses as cowardice. Could I hide when people no different than me were being fired from a job, disowned by their families, being blamed for having contracted a disease, or being driven to suicide? Could I fail to recognize the sacrifices and hard work of so many gay men, lesbians, bisexual and transgendered people to gain recognition and respect? These days we act as if it's hardly worth mentioning. This is my partner. Oh yes, he's a man, didn't you know? As if it's no big deal. Actually, it's a very big deal. There are many types of courage. Some are found in the eyes. Eyes that have the bravery to face the mirror in the morning. Eyes that can meet another person's directly and talk with honesty. And there are those that are found in the hands and arms. Hands that reach for a lover's hand on the street, oblivious to hostile eyes. Arms on another's shoulders, refusing to let them feel alone, while that cruel, mocking voice that survives somewhere within us all says, "What makes you think they appreciate your attentions?" And there are those types of courage that lie in the heart. Hearts that have been scratched by the icy fingers of attitude or disdain, but decide to offer warmth and trust to the newest stranger. Hearts that have learned how hard it is to be alone again after experiencing the counterpoint of lovers chest to chest, but still decide to learn a new rhythm. But today I speak not only of these, but also of the courage that lie in the flesh and spirit of a man who chooses another man to love. They tell us as they always have, don't act on your feelings, be like the other boys, and don't realize how impossibly foolish that is. They'll invoke God as if loving God could condemn the love you feel and support their hatred of you. They'll say to you, if you have to do those disgusting things, never let anyone know, keep it to yourself. Not knowing how hard love is to sustain without the added burdens of secrecy and shame. Or they'll tell you you are not normal, as if everyone else is the same, and you're the only broken cookie. But I think someone needs to say often and loudly that we shame everything we hold sacred if we allow hatred and ignorance to thrive. We all have heard tales of assaults, murders, and suicides that should make anyone realize we've endured more than our share. But look at the hardness in the eyes of men who keep each other at a distance, and the mixed fear and desperate longing in those who've experienced desire for other men but not its consummation, and the riches that we have, who've allowed ourselves the madness of passion, the foolhardiness of lying in each other's arms. There are many types of courage, and sometimes I wonder who are the sissies after all.